Good afternoon. My name is Mandi Lopez, and today I'll be discussing subliminal persuasion in media and politics. I've chosen this particular topic because I've always been interested in how companies execute persuasion to an audience. I wanted to know why I lean towards voting for a particular person or why I buy the things that I do. So, from my research, I found that subliminal persuasion is a science that's based on repetitive visual elements that seek to alter our future buying decisions. And you can really see how this comes in line with media advertising and politics. So, have you ever wondered why you prefer some brands over the others, or why you lean towards voting for a particular person? These are all questions that are encompassed in subliminal persuasion. So to break it down, subliminal means that you are registering information below threshold. In other words, you are registering it on an unconscious level. Your brain is not aware. So, Professor John Arvoki states that the type of stimuli that's used in subliminal persuasion is usually obscured in some way, but it nevertheless acts as a manipulation to its audience. So, when talking about below threshold, it's interesting because each person has their own degree of threshold. It's unique to each person, and it actually fluctuates on a day-to-day basis. So my degree of threshold is different from all of you. So you can really see how this is very much makes it difficult for companies to execute persuasion to an entire audience at the exact time that their brain will actually be aware of it. So, right now, the goals of companies is to try to familiarize consumers with their products, especially younger people. And the stimulus that they use are anything from logos to brand packaging to packaging to brand identities. And Martin Lindstrom, the author of Biology, he is known for doing many experiments about why people buy. And what he's found through numerous experiments is that people are irrational when it comes to buying, or that we want to be seduced. And a famous experiment that he actually did was taking a group of test subjects and having them watch American Idol and trying to identify with its sponsors. So its sponsors at that time were Ford, Singular, and Coca-Cola. So he had them identify them before the show and after the show. And what he found was that Ford and Singular were actually wasting their money because the test subjects identified less with them after the show than before the show, which is pretty strange. And in terms of Coca-Cola, they were present during the show 60% of the time, from set designs to the bottles themselves. So they were very much more able to identify Coca-Cola after that. And from this, Lindstrom states that through brilliant integration, Coke painstakingly affiliates itself with the dreams, aspirations, and starry-eyed fantasies of potential idols. Want to be high-flying and adored? Coke can help. Moreover, another method of subliminal persuasion is called subliminal priming, and this is when you're flashing words and images too quickly for the brain to actually be aware of. And an experiment that was conducted used this method in flashing logos. And what they found was that people actually reacted in a way that paralleled with the ethics of the company, which is really interesting. So, for example, Apple inspired originality and creativity, while Disney inspired honesty and sincerity. On to politics. Political campaigns are much more complex when concerning subliminal persuasion and priming. And the main thing that's used in it is the media. You know, the media has undefeated power as to how to portray a candidate, if that candidate's behavior will be perceived positively or negatively, and how much coverage that person actually gets. So it also takes into account people's actual context, character, and personal belief system. The personal belief system is the most important, though, because it acts as a sort of screen to all the stimuli that the media is providing. Without this, our brain would be overloaded with stimuli, and it would be very difficult to differentiate between what we believe and what we don't believe. So, as I said, in advertising, the stimulus ranges from packaging to brand identities to logos. In politics, it's more slogans, pep rallies, conventions. And a definitely good example of this is the recent election of President Barack Obama. He was portrayed as the ultimate prime choice for the president. A negative word was rarely uttered on the radio or in a newspaper, and this can be contrasted with the nomination of vice presidential Republican candidate Sarah Palin, who was very inexperienced, and her inexperience was splashed across newspapers. It lowered her credibility, and it questioned McCain's judgment. So with that said, it's mind-blowing to see how much subliminal persuasion actually plays a role and how much an impact it has in smart advertising and politics. On the whole, I hope that you've learned a little bit about subliminal persuasion and how much it's a part of our society. So the next time you're watching the TV or the news, try to see how they use imagery and words to catch your attention. And you'll begin to see how repetitive all their ploys are and how they use that to alter your decisions and behaviors. To close, perhaps the next time you're in the grocery store, you can decide if you're buying Coca-Cola simply because you saw it on American Idol last night. Thank you.